All right, so today is Wednesday, the 30th of July 2025. We're having our morning analysis. Morning, Madam Onachi. Morning, Adekoye Shegun. Morning, Mr. Bimbola Motosho. So we're having our morning analysis and we're checking our fundamentals first, then we'll go straight to the technical. Now, today is loaded with so many fundamental analysis that I would suggest you have to be extremely cautious of technical trades. That's just the truth because today is loaded with so many fundamental events. Now, overnight, there was a news release from Australia, and that's the CPI, Consumer Price Index from Australia. And that really had its impact upon the Australian dollar, across board. Now, this morning by 8 a.m., there'll be Spanish flash CPI yearly, and from the Eurozone. 9 a.m., there'll be German prelim GDP quarterly. By 1:15 p.m., there'll be US ADP non-farm employment change from United States. 1:30 there'll be advanced GDP quarterly, and same 1:30 advanced GDP price index. 2:45 p.m. there'll be BOC monetary policy report. That's from Canada. That's Bank of Canada monetary policy report. Followed simultaneously by Bank of Canada rate statement and overnight rate by 2:45 p.m. By 3 p.m., there'll be pending home sales from United States. 3:30, there'll be Bank of Canada press conference. And 7 p.m., there'll be federal funds rate and FOMC statement from the United States. And 7:30, there'll be FOMC press conference. So looking at all this data, the only breathing space we have, I would say, is between, let's say 9 a.m. to maybe 12, 1 thereabouts. Yeah, that's after the German prelim quarterly, if there is any movement whatsoever. And I tell you that that will be communicated to you through the 5S group. Also, there could be a little breathing space between, well, 3:30 to 7 p.m. The market is almost closing for the day, but if there's a signal, we'll drop it. But technically, we may not really be looking at the chart much today because today is really, really loaded with many, many fundamental events. Now, the key, but the most important of all the events today is actually the FOMC that will come up by 7 p.m. And usually, when we have FOMC, the dollar, you have to trade dollar cautiously in the course of the day. Usually, the dollar may not even move, but even if it moves at all, it has to be done with a lot of caution because it may give you erratic movement. Now, for the one coming up by 8 a.m., it's a medium impact event. The effect may not be so much. Usually most of the time, Euro pairs, even if there's a news, sometimes it may not really move so much, but then we never can tell when we'll have the major spike. So Spanish flash CPI yearly will come up by 8 a.m. And this news measures the sorry, my system is, I'm trying to open the details. Okay, it's not loading. All right, it's open now. So we'll start with the first one. Yeah, that's the Spanish flash CPI yearly from the Eurozone. It measures change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, and actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. And followed by the 9 a.m. news, which is the change in inflation adjusted value of all goods and services produced by the economy. Now, the most important part of all this is that if the data is good for the euro, we'll see some bullish movements in the euro, with the color green. If it comes out good, you see a green color, and that will lead to some bullish movement. We're not really expecting too much anyway, but we never can tell how it will work out. And if it comes out bad, the color will be in red, and that will lead to a bearish movement on the euro. And the same thing for other ones. But then I will look at the dollar. We'll analyze the dollar. I'll give you my outlook on the dollar ahead of the news by 1:15, 1:30, and even the FOMC by 7 p.m. tonight. So I'm going to switch over now to my charts to give you this analysis. All right, so this is the dollar index, the USDX. The dollar index gives us the outlook of what happens to the dollar. Now, from my long-term view of the dollar index, price has been trending up. We've seen an uptrend on the monthly time frame. Price has been doing some higher lows. Now you may wonder, why am I going as far as monthly time frame? Well, we're trying to get a clearer picture of the long-term direction of the market. Short time frames can't really give us that. All right. So price is expected to trend higher, because that's the long-term direction. And on the daily time frame, we can see that, sorry, we need to do some slight adjustments here. It's actually touching the tip. So on the monthly time frame, we have an uptrend. On the daily, we are seeing the formation of an inverse head and shoulder, which normally would trigger a long-term bullish movement, and we have the trend line coming downwards. Now, price is around the neckline of that head and shoulder. And the candle of yesterday did not break out above it. It's still around that neckline. Our long-term break is if a new candle breaks above the neckline. But honestly, at the moment, that's not happening yet, because the candle of yesterday didn't break out clearly above that neckline. Bankole Kayode, I will attend to that question later. Let me run through what I'm doing at the moment. All right. So now, since the candle has not broken above it, well, the price is still at a vulnerable position, meaning that if the data for the dollar event today and later FMC tonight, if it comes out bad for the dollar, we may see price, retrace ultimately to go up. Maybe not today, but it all depends on the outcome. If the data comes out good, yes, it's going to break out sharply. See a sharp breakout. But if the data comes out bad, there is a possibility of a retracement. So dollar is at a critical point now. Even though we have a long-term view, it's still a function of the data that comes out today. If the data comes out good, then we'll see that massive long-term bullish breakout, which is what the chart is showing. But then peradventure the news doesn't come out like that. See, I want you to understand something clearly. We don't control the market. We only guide you based on our experience, and with all sincerity, we have the experience in how this thing works. And that's why we're also guiding you the way we're doing now. So if the data comes out bad, there will be some retracement. Then later on, price will continue in that long-term direction. So that's why I said you should trade with a lot of caution. If you have to trade any dollar related instrument today, wait for the release of the data first. Don't jump into any trade technically, especially around the major pairs today, because there's FOMC later today and it's a very big one in the market. So we have a short-term view, which is a sell, and a longer term view, which is a buy, depending on the outcome of the news this afternoon by 1:30 p.m. and later today by 7 p.m. So let us take note of that on the dollar. And that consequently will affect instruments like USD CHF, Euro USD, and all the other ones that are the major currency pairs. For example, now the USD CHF. USD CHF is also having that outlook that is close to that inverse head and shoulder that we're seeing on the dollar index. However, just like I saw on the dollar index, price is trading currently around a previous support turned resistance. Even though there is equally that long-term, bullish breakout, which I saw on the dollar index, because it's coming from, his own is a bit different, the setup is slightly different, but the direction is still the same. It's coming from a previous support level on the monthly time frame and a descending trend line also from the monthly. So we have a confluence at the tip over here. We have a confluence here which would trigger price up. But at the same time, currently price is trading around Just a second. Price is currently trading around the support turn resistance zone. So if the data comes out bad, like I said, we will see a slight retracement before a continuation. The long-term movement is still bullish, but then it's possible we may have a short term depending on the outcome of the news. So please trade the dollar with caution today. All the dollar pairs, trade them with a lot of caution. Now, if the news comes out bad for the dollar, you know, if at all the news comes out bad for the dollar, gold is actually looking bullish. I've said it right from Monday. I have a bullish outlook on gold, but then it's been ranging since Tuesday. In fact, since that same Monday till yesterday, possibly we'll have the breakout we're expecting on gold today. And this is my outlook on gold. Gold is trending up. This is the daily, okay, I think from the daily time frame. All right, so this is the daily time frame. You can see that price is on an uptrend, making higher lows, and price is currently around there. That should lead to an uptrend on gold. And if we take it down to the 4 hour time frame, there is equally a minor support zone around here. So gold is trying to form what looks a lot like an inverse head and shoulder, then breakout. So we have a bullish outlook. Now, volatility has dropped in recent time. You can see the candle there looks like it's ranging. But on a day like this, when the data is released, volatility may come back to gold. So if volatility returns to gold, we'll have the completion of the inverse head and shoulder and a breakout that provided the data comes out bad for the dollar. At this point, we can prepare for any because that's if it's a direct one, we'll tell you we're bullish. If it's direct, we'll say we're very, but at the moment, it's actually in between. But then I'm expecting a bullish breakout, especially if the data comes out bad for the dollar. That will lead to gold, going higher. In recent times, there has not been geopolitical tension that affects gold. So we just have to rely on what the dollar is doing to determine the outlook on gold at this point in time. So I hold a bullish outlook on gold on the 1 hour. So if in the course, gold can be more excited than the dollar. Sometimes, it reacts faster, so possibly even in the course of the day, if you see some movement on gold, as long as it breaks above this trend line I've drawn, above this region, you may, even if it's scalping, you may just do some little scalping on gold. So I'm bullish on gold for today, except there's a change in the news direction. That's what I can. Even the USD card too is trading at, we have a triple bottom and there's a resistance, you know. So we may still, I don't know, we may end up having the data coming out bad for the dollar, even though on the long term it's still going to buy. But let's trade with as much caution as possible today. If you are not sure, stay out. There is no harm in staying out. Staying out is as good as winning. So you may even want to stay out and wait and let's see clarity before we get the right direction to move. Somebody is asking me to check gold on 15 minutes. Gold is not clear on 15 minutes. You can see there's a range. There's a range currently. So if you go lower, it's not going to give additional clarity. All I know is that from my technical experience, we may still see some slight drop before the reversal will happen. But the pattern I'm seeing is an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which will lead to a bullish breakout. Now, there was some setup I gave on Monday. Some of them triggered that same day and, same day entered 50 to, I think 60 to 90 pips. That's a Euro CAD and Euro JPY. New Zealand JPY and AED JPY were some of the other pairs I mentioned. Now, New Zealand JPY between Monday and now has dropped to the tune of about, okay, this is 38 pips, not bad. Now, some setup you give on, especially if it's a 1 hour time frame, sometimes it may not even get to the point of profit level in the same day. It may be carried over to the next day, possibly the third day. It can happen like that. So there is no law that says all your trades must be open and close same day, except you are scalping. That's only when that is possible. If it's a 1 hour trade, sometimes it can be a carry trade to the next day, sometimes the third day. It all depends on the volatility in the market. So New Zealand JPY has hit about 38 pips in line with the analysis on Monday, and AUD JPY also has its same 30, 33, 34, 35 pips also in line with the analysis on Monday. So the only setup I'm giving today is the dollar gold. I'm not sure of any other one at the moment. Just watch out in the signal group. Like I said, the times when there is break, between maybe the 10 and 1 o'clock, if there is a signal, watch out. We'll drop it in the 5X group. Outside that, I want to be extremely cautious of the analysis I give this morning because of all the news events that we have in the course of today. Don't forget, we're going to be trading NFP live on Friday. That's just 2 days away from now. We're trading NFP live on Friday. Make sure you join us with a funded account. Fund your account ahead of this news event. We're going to be trading NFP live, and we've always had a very high success rate with this news event, and this one will not be an exception. So make sure you join us live. All right, we need to end this analysis session, except somebody has a question.
Yes, sir.
GBPJPY. All
Good
right, ma.
morning, sir.
Good morning, ma.
Thank you. Please, and there's this one that you say is in bid to win. Is it USD Sorry, sir.
Yes, all the dollar pairs. The dollar index is what
Okay.
controls all of them. So if the dollar index is not giving direct clarity, the same thing will affect the other ones too.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. Somebody is asking GBPJPY. GBPJPY, I said it earlier in the week that it was in a range and it's still just trying to break out of that range. This is it. This is GBPJPY. It's gradually breaking out below the range. Here's a weekly time frame, daily. Now, if it breaks out below this range, well, we may have a sell trade, but I will advise to be cautious with this instrument because there's a lot of news events today. And sometimes when you have a lot of news events like that, price may get thrown into the other direction. So that's why I said technical trade as much as possible, it should be avoided today, except the ones we post and we guide you on. Yes, GBPJPY, if it closes this current 4 hour candle, if it closes by 10 o'clock below this breakout point, sure, it will have entered the bearish zone. RSI is already below 50, MACD is already below zero. But then what about the news event? So those are factors to consider. And don't forget that this instrument can be very volatile. So if the news comes out and it supports the direction, well, fine, it will roll into profit. But what if it does not? So that's why I said trade it with a lot of caution. Trade it with a lot of caution. Otherwise, just hold on for now. Let the coast be completely clear in the market before you trade. Patience is a virtue in trading, and staying out is still as good as winning. All right, I think we need to end this session here this morning. Okay, so Bankole is asking me which should one focus on between FOMC statement and conference. All right, so let's go back to Forex Factory. All right, so we have the federal funds rate, which is coming up by 7 p.m. and it will follow directly by the statement. Then 7:30 there'll be press conference. The truth is that any of them could move the market. That's why FOMC, sometimes can be erratic. Let me use that word. You know, the one that has the data, the only one that has the data, you see, FOMC is a combination of data and speech. Most of the news you trade, they are purely data related. But FOMC is a combination of both data and speech. And there's something about speeches, you really can't tell the direction where the market will go, except you're able to research well ahead of the news. If you can carry out a proper research, I don't know how strong you are with researching such kind of, events. If you take time to research, maybe you check sites like Bloomberg.com, DailyFX, CNBC, and a host of others like that to get the possibility of all of them will not give you direct data in the recent of it, but you can get an insight into what may likely happen. So that can give you an idea of what the statement will be like. So this federal funds rate is the data. If it comes out good, the dollar will buy. If it comes out bad, the dollar will sell. If it comes out exactly the same, we may have no reaction, or in some cases, it may still sell if the actual comes out equal to forecast. The statement is the statement that will be issued by the government agency in charge of the FOMC actually means Federal Open Market Committee. That's the committee that determines interest rate in the United States. And interest rate is a very powerful thing, from the central bank. They don't call it central bank in US, they call it the Fed, the Federal Reserve. Now, the conference is now the an ongoing press conference rather is now the officials attending to journalists after this statement has been made. Now, both the statement and the press conference, sometimes they will say there is what is called body language. Somebody may be trying to say something and is not saying it directly. So any of it could trigger the market. Any of these three could trigger the market, either the federal funds rate, the FOMC statement, or the conference. But what is usually advised is this: if the data is released by 7 p.m., when you have federal funds rate and FOMC statement, if you're taking a trade, take it. And before 7:30, you are out. So that you never can tell if the 7:30 press conference will trigger another movement in the market. That's the best advice I can give on that. And I hope that is clear to Mr. Bankole. All right, that's going to be all from our end this morning. Dr. Emmanuel, we are not buying or selling gold yet. You're asking, I need the technical analysis for gold. I already gave that. I said we are bullish, but it's not yet time to buy. See, when it comes to trading, you don't just enter, buy, or sell. There is also the place. One, you have a strategy, you analyze, and you wait for your strategy to be triggered. To be triggered means you wait for that strategy to mature to the point in which you're taking a trade. Currently, gold has not gotten to that point where we are buying, though we have that projection of the likelihood of a buy, but it has not gotten to that place yet. I will advise you watch the video again to see my analysis on gold so that I can get a clearer picture. But if you don't know how to do these things, there's still no problem. We have a group called the 5X group. And that's why for some of us, if this thing still looks technical, you don't need to stress yourself. This is PU Prime. We got you covered. Just subscribe to the 5X group where you get direct signals that leads to profit from us, still from us. So I hope that's clear for Dr. Emmanuel. Oyebamiji or Oyelaki, I need an account manager. I don't know what to do. Reach out to me on WhatsApp immediately after this session. We're ending this session now. I'm the one that sent out the link that you got for this class. So just click on that, my post. My name is Rotimi Olawale. Click on it and send me a chat on WhatsApp. All right, that's for Oyebamiji Oyelaki. All right, so we end the analysis session here. Do trade safe and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye. How do we subscribe to the 5S group? Reach out to your account manager. I believe you have one. If you don't have one, just reach out to me also. I can guide you on how to get started.
Thank you.